Welcome to the Mark Silver Show, Advancing Your Photography, brought to you by SanDisk. We connect you with photographers who have mastered their craft, sharing their insight and showing you their photography tips so you can go right out and use them. We're here on the edge of the San Francisco Bay with our guest Camille Seaman, a breathtaking fine art photographer. Her photographs have been published in Newsweek, Outside, Men's Journal, Camera Arts, PDN, and American Photography. She's also self-published several books. Her stunning photographs have received a host of awards, including a National Geographic Award. Camille, thanks for joining us and letting us come to your studio today.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about your work and the type of work you really love to do?
I think my work has a lot to do with who I am and the whole history of how I am who I am. So it's very much about my life and my ancestry. And I come from a small fishing tribe on Long Island called Shinnecock. And my father is from that tribe, and my mother is black and Italian. But I was raised mostly by my father's people. And we were raised knowing, not believing, but knowing that we were part of everything, that nothing was separate. And what I think in my photography is that basically what I'm trying to do is help people feel connected to their planet in a way that they may not understand or have had a chance to before. For example, ice. A lot of people won't ever in their lifetime have the opportunity to go to the places or see the things that I've seen. Right. And I feel like I bring that to them. And when I bring that to them, it's not just to show them something they haven't seen before, but to help them feel something. To give them that connection. Exactly. Unless you can feel what it felt to be like and see what I saw, then you really, once you can feel that, that emotional connection, then maybe something happens. How do you feel you get that emotion in your photographs? How do you capture that emotion? I don't know exactly. I mean, of course, there's the technical things. Like, for example, I don't ever really photograph when it's a bright blue sky. Okay. I'm looking for a very particular quality of light, and within this quality of light, a magic thing happened. What is that quality that you're looking for? I generally like overcast or even very stormy skies. Okay. Well, obviously. So in terms of your images, what are some of the key things that you use every time you pick up a camera or even before you pick up a camera? A lot of times I'm working on ships, and I spend a lot of time in the bridge of the ship hanging out with the captains. I'll sometimes come up and stand in the bridge, take a look around and go, no, the light's no good. And the captain will go, what? And I go, no, it's no good. And I'd come back in an hour, look around. Or he'll even call me and say, Camille, I think the light's good. And I'll come up and I'll look around and I go, no. And when it is good light, I'll say, Captain, this is good light. And I'll show him the pictures that I'm making on the camera so that he starts to say, oh, this is good. He understands what it is I'm looking for. So I'm thinking always about the quality of light first. And then if the quality of light is there, then, okay, I'm looking for the scene, whatever it is. I would say go back and look at old paintings. Vermeer, Rembrandt, Caravaggio, Michelangelo, people who are using natural light. I try to avoid at all costs using any sort of artificial light. And sometimes I get people emailing me saying, how did you light your icebergs? And I was like, these are gigantic icebergs. There's no way I could light it, you know. But it's just being sensitive to that quality of light. Look at natural light. And when you're in a room and you're going to take a portrait of someone, turn off all the lights in the house and just let the side light from a window come in. And then you start to understand the quality of light that I'm after. As far as equipment, I have an arsenal of tools. And I like to think of them as tools, just like a carpenter uses hammers and saws and screwdrivers. And those are really important. My camera and my equipment are just like that to me. And different jobs require different tools. So sometimes I still shoot film, but more and more I find I shoot just digital.
As far as digital photography, what is the importance of what's under the hood in terms of the card?
I have a really good story about that, actually. I was in Antarctica in 2007, and it was very wet, a lot of precipitation, and I was working a lot in very wet weather. And it was so wet that the camera strap on my Canon had slowly started to undo itself, and I wasn't aware of this. And I went to step out of a Zodiac, a black rubber boat, onto the shore with my camera. And just as I stepped over the bow of the Zodiac to step on across a body of water onto the shore, the thing came undone and the camera slipped into the 4 feet of water. And I watched it in slow motion. I was like, no. But I retrieved the camera, and of course it was ruined, salt water. But surprisingly, I still have the SanDisk card, and I was so glad that all the pictures were fine. Not a problem at all. And that's critical. I cannot afford to travel as far as I do, be so remote. It's not like you can call up and have one of these cards delivered. Right. You need to know that it's not going to fail. And so that's really important. I only use SanDisk cards because they've never failed on me.
So you were talking about what you'd learned from Steve McCurry about lighting. Can you tell us about that?
Well, it was really funny because we're in Tibet and really harsh, bright light. And he would yell at me. He would say, "What are you doing outside in this light?" And he'd say, when the sun is up like that, you go inside. And in Tibet, there aren't very many people who use electric lights during the day. So you'd get this amazing light inside, this single source light from the side, and it really was like paintings. You could make paintings in people's houses. And he showed me that. He'd pull me into alleys and he'd say, "Do you see how the light is reflecting here?" And I mean, he actually took the time to show me in a very physical way how the light worked and how it then translated onto this medium. And that was so valuable. So going to the Arctic and the Antarctic, where it was a situation where before that I was photographing mostly people, doing portraits and things. But when I got to Antarctica, there were no people. So I thought, what do I do? And that's when I started to photograph everything I saw as if it were a person. Mm-hmm. And the ice and everything. But having that new awareness of that sensitivity to the quality of light in a very different situation than Tibet. Here it was in the Arctic and the Antarctic. It was magic. You could just make, I thought, just magic.
How about composition? Any tips for great composition?
Don't think of it as three-dimensional. Think of everything as shapes, and you're arranging the shapes in such a way to interact and to activate space, to push things forward and pull things back and draw your eye here or guide your eye there. When you understand that and you do it that way, composition becomes like a ballet. Really, it becomes a choreography.
Any final advice for viewers who just want to get better photographs?
Practice seeing and know who you are visually. The camera, I believe, is the tool, but without the eye behind it, it's just a tool.
Camille, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us an inside look into your world of photography.
Thank you.
Subscribe to our blog where we'll give you tips, updates, and other cool stuff about the show. Also, check out Camille's site for a closer look at her work. I'd like to thank SanDisk for sponsoring our show. Tune in to our next episode where we get another look at a photographer's world.